Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast. This is your favorite weekly games podcast. Couldn't even make it out the gate without tripping over my words. My name is Kerry Palmer, tripping over myself, and joining me as always is Jeremy Bratatich.
I am not tripping over myself. I am standing steadfast.
That is good. Steadfast and sturdy.
Yes, and not quite centered in the frame. There we go.
Yeah, I was doing that before too, just shuffling my chair over.
It's harder now. So my new place, the downstairs area where my desk is completely carpeted. So my chair under the sheer weight of myself likes to sink into the carpet, then occasionally just makes it harder to roll around in. Mine's
the same. You gotta really shuffle your butt to move a centimeter.
Yeah, I'm considering getting one of those like plastic mats just to have under the thing, but I feel like they always break and they crack and they get annoying. And
that's the thing, and it's plastic, so that's not great. Sam was tossing around the idea of maybe like a wooden one, but then I get worried that I'll like stand on it wrong with my shoes off and like not get a splinter, but like the corners will be kind of hard, and I don't know.
Oh, you could get like the edge skirting thing when a
there's ways it would probably be fine. I just worry about things instead of doing them.
You could just stand at the desk.
I do that sometimes. Not as much as I should, considering that I have that capability. Jeremy.
Kerry.
On a scale of 10 to don't even bother, how good is your Spotify Wrapped?
Oh, 10.
It's a 10?
No doubt.
Like, have you done it this year? Were you happy with the results?
Yeah. I have great taste. And when I said no doubt is on there. A little bit. Just a little bit. A little bit no doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah. How's yours?
Every year Spotify Wrapped comes around. It's good for the 2 pages of podcast, because that's what I use Spotify for the most.
Right.
But the like 18 pages of music stuff is so irrelevant to my Spotify experience, because it's Snarky Puppy and then this one playlist of lo-fi video game covers from this one label called Game Chops that I have on shuffle repeat when I like study or write. I don't study anymore. I just work. What am I saying? When I'm working, I just want background music.
Yeah.
And occasionally there'll be like a week where I go hard on like video game soundtracks. And I was saying before the thing, it was like, man, it's just going to be Snarky Puppy and video game soundtracks. And I turn it and I look at it and I'm like, yep, that's it. And that's all it was. But I did get the little bonus of realizing that this was the year that Sam and I really got into Persona 5. Because in the 1 week where I listened to that soundtrack, instead of that other playlist, it shot to the top of all of my other things. And so 4 or 5 of my pages were headlined by Persona 5 songs.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, this soundtrack rules.
That tracks with you. Because we are friends on Spotify, I get to see what you're listening to. Which
what's that like? Because I used to look at other people's, and I used to look at other people's and go, oh, that's interesting, that's funny. And now like there are less and less people who have that feature enabled.
Yeah.
And so I just click on it and I go, what does mine look like?
Yeah, it is very not useful for you, because it is always just either Snarky Puppy or the Chops soundtrack one thing.
Yep. That's it.
So my top artists were Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Takanaka, who was a jazz fusion Japanese guitarist from like the 70s. Shook, friend of the show. Adolf Nomura, the composer for Umurangi Generation, and the Gorillaz. Which I was not expecting the Gorillaz to be that high, but then I remembered how much I listened to them this year, and I'm like, actually, you know what? Like, fuck yeah, like that's dope. I sent it to my old housemate Tootie, and he's like, yes, 14-year-old me. And I responded back with like, turns out we were right back then. But yeah, like looking at my list, there's like a lot of Daft Punk, there's Thundercat, Foo Fighters, Jamiroquai, Franz Ferdinand, a lot of Shook.
That's a healthy 2000s playlist right there.
Yeah, I got Butterfly by Crazy Town on here. I got OK Go is on here just a little bit.
Okay, go.
The Crystal Method, Prodigy, Public Enemy. Yeah, a lot of good, like, very specifically. Turns out if anyone like knows me or has been to a party I've been to, which more often than not I DJ. Well, like not DJ, but like I'm just in control of the music.
You have the playlist for.
Yeah. This will all track. Miami Horror. Yeah. I was in the
this
point.
This is Butterfly. Okay, I know this song.
Yeah. Come, my lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am in the top 0.05% of listeners of Daft Punk.
Whoa! That seems amazing, Jeremy. Because they're not a small band. 3,000 minutes. Hang on.
I would love to know your total listened minutes.
Oh, I don't have it on me, but I'll pull it up. Alex in the chat, we've got Labyrinth, Halsey, Maisie Peters, Taylor, and some random TikTok buffs. I like that. 3,000 minutes, Jeremy, is 50 hours. 50 hours of Daft Punk listening.
Live 2007 hits just different.
I will admit, you sending me their samples, their sample breakdown videos, not that they've made, but that have been made about them, and playing that one Clone Hero song a few weeks ago has me thinking a bit like, oh, I should, maybe I should.
It is time.
How do I find Wrapped anymore once it's not on the front page?
I think it's wrapped.spotify.com. You should read.
Oh, that's much easier than my phone.
Yeah. Cool.
You want me
to take over the intro while you're doing that?
What do you think, Jeremy? No, I can do it.
Yeah, okay, because I can't.
That's not a website. Okay, that's all right. We'll just start the show and talk about video games for a while instead. Everyone, thanks for being here. This is the MiniMapCast. We're going to stop talking about Spotify and talk about video games, because that's what we do here on Minimap. You can catch us every Tuesday on any podcast platform of your choice, and you can watch us live on Twitch on Monday as we record the show live. If you like what you're hearing, please give the show a positive rating wherever you're listening to us, be that on YouTube, on Twitch right now, live, be that on your podcast service, whatever a positive rating on that service looks like. If you could give that to us, that would really help the show out, help out our show in the searches and the algorithms and the whatnot. And if you want to catch us live, as I said just then, we are live on Mondays. It's 5:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Australian Eastern Daylight Time at twitch.tv.
Bloody dictator Dan, since he won the election,
bloody Dan Light.
Change it to Australian Dan Light time.
You just know if Victoria is like the only place that like everywhere in Australia gets rid of daylight savings, but except Victoria.
Yeah.
But people in Victoria are annoyed about it. They're going to call it Dan Light.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv/MiniMapAU for that one. If you want to watch us live, 5:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I meant to say it wrong and I said it right. Before, during, and after the show, we hang out with the Twitch chat, which is why you might want to hang out with us live. It's a good place to hang out. You can tell us all about your Spotify Wrapped. Whatever way you want to listen to us, be sure to keep up to date with us wherever you use your social medias. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, all at MiniMapAU for those. We're on Hive, but Hive isn't back yet, so we'll talk about them when that's relevant.
We're on Hive while no one is actually on Hive.
I am checking it once a day just to see.
I'll be honest, Kerry.
It's not back yet.
I don't think it's gonna last.
I don't. Well, you weren't that big on it anyway. But I'm honestly kind of. I'm ride or die. I'm ride or Hive. I'm rive or Hive.
I think it's just die.
Not while I'm there, Jeremy. Not while I'm there. I'm gonna keep Hive alive. That's it. Keep Hive alive. That's the one. I knew there was something in there. But yeah, you can go to our socials to find when our podcasts go live. For example, it's a good way to find out what each topic of the show is as it goes live each week. Last week, we spoke about, we went with the discussion of, is Zelda open world? Which sounds silly, but we had a lot to say about it, and we did, and it was a good discussion. And we did come in with an answer, but it still left me wondering.
Yeah. It's been on my mind a little bit since.
Yeah, it's almost an existential question.
What was hilarious is after we did that episode, I was at work and there was a conversation happening that was separate to me that organically brought up the conversation, is Zelda open world? And I got to jump in and say, let me tell you, I just did a podcast about this literally not 48 hours later.
Did they appreciate your insights?
Never, but that's beside the point.
Charlatans.
Yeah. Heathens.
Speaking of Shook, before during Spotify, we wanted to say thank you to Shook for letting us use the Moog Model D Improv as the music for the MiniMapCast. You can listen to more of Shook's music also at Bandcamp, but also at shook.bandcamp.com. I meant Spotify the first time. I said Bandcamp twice. Lastly, if you want to help keep the lights and mics on, you can throw $5 our way and become one of our patrons. It helps us to continue to do this. You can ask us questions to answer on the podcast, and it's as cheap as a latte with oat milk. You can do that by going to patreon.com/minimapau. Just a quick side note, Jeremy, when I was driving back from our brief holiday this weekend to Melbourne today, I bought a juice for $6.50, more expensive than our Patreon by a sizable fraction.
About the same price as a latte with oat milk.
Yeah, a bit more than a latte with oat milk, or like a large latte with oat milk, perhaps.
Yeah, I always get large.
Tell you what, though, it's good juice.
Nice.
I wasn't displeased.
Good.
Lego Star Wars isn't open world. No, I haven't played it. I'm gonna let you work that one out in chat because I don't have enough input.
It's not like we went through it.
Do flat earthers think Earth is open world? Yeah, it's just like Wind Waker where there's boundaries to the edge of the world. So this week we're going to be talking about the Game Awards, and we're going to be doing this in sections, not only because there are different parts to the Game Awards each year. There's the awards, and there's the reveals, and there's the inevitable discussion about what this show even is and what its worth and value is in this industry, because it's clearly not worth nothing. And because people turn up and Jeff gets the players to behave and everyone turns up, and that's something. But also there's problems with the Game Awards, and we're going to talk about all of those things.
I thought you meant like the game players. No, not
the gamers. The gamers don't need to turn up. That's fine.
Yeah.
Did we ever get a final number on how many Steam Decks they gave away during the Twitch stream?
Oh, 1 per minute or something, right?
Well, yeah, but I want to know what their total was.
I like to imagine that Jeff was out here saying, like, because remember he was saying prior to the show that it was going to be like one of the shortest ones. It was going to be like a 2-hour show. If you look to my left shoulder,
he said 2.5 hour.
Yeah, and then like it ended up being a lot longer than that. I like to imagine that he said that to Valve to get them to like send him like 180 like Steam Decks, and then suddenly they had to send out like another 80.
Yeah, maybe that's interesting, or maybe they couldn't do more than that, and so they
so he's trying to rein it in, and they're going long.
They just didn't announce the total number. They'll just be like, "Thanks, Valve, for handing out Steam Decks."
And Jeff's calling out like Best Buys, being like, "Hey, do you have any Steam Decks? Like, I gotta like how many you got? 50? Like just put them down."
To everyone in LA.
Yeah, I'll come and get them.
So we're gonna start by talking about the awards. We're gonna breeze through some of the ones that we don't have too much to talk about. And we'll discuss some of the different heavy hitting ones as well. So we'll breeze through these bottom ones so we get to it. I'm going to be reading from Logan Plant's article on IGN. That's every award winner from the Game Awards 2022. Here we go, everybody. Best adaptation for like game media to film or something was Arcane. Most anticipated game went to Tears of the Kingdom. That was the audience voted one.
It's so funny that once again, a Zelda is just like in the middle of most anticipated game. There's so many of these awards. So okay, so the
I knew you wouldn't keep a lid on it.
No. What I'm saying is the order of these awards that we're going through. A lot of the ones we're doing at the start are the ones that they did not bring into the main show. These are ones that were announced prior to.
As in, these were the ones that weren't on stage.
Yes. Well, yeah, a lot of these awards.
They were all on the stream.
Yeah, but they were happening prior to the show starting.
Yeah.
That was a countdown to the show starting while these awards were happening. Like it's
yeah, but also we were getting trailers during that time. It was like a pre-show.
Yeah, It's almost like it should just be the show. We'll get there.
I mean, I just consider it the show. Best esports team went to Loud for Valorant. Great. Best esports game went to Valorant. Great. Best esports event went to League of Legends World Championship. Best esports coach went to Bazooka.
Oh yeah, the fucking so I was at work. Okay,
when they were reading it out and they were trying to straight face say these things, but also rapid fire them, and they were like, "Best esports athlete, yay!"
So when I was saving this for the show, and I'm gonna say it now. The place I was watching this, I was at work because it was between the hours of like 11 a.m. and I think it finished at about 2:30 p.m. Roughly.
Later, I think it was more like 3.
Even later, right? We had it on one of the TVs or one of the computers at work, leading into lunchtime, and then while it was lunch, like we all went to the pub, and like me and a couple others, we all had it on our phones, and we were watching while we were sitting at the table. And like the pub we went to is like it's not a sports bar, but when you go to a pub, they often just have sports playing on the TVs. Like we were contemplating going up to them saying like, "Hey, do you mind just asking? Yeah, do you mind just putting this on?" We didn't, but.
Fun thought though.
It was happening on a Friday, and we were having it on TV, and we were sort of like about to continue to do work, and then we would sort of pay attention for a little bit longer, and then about to do more work, and then continuing to pay attention to the stream. There was so many moments when all the esports categories were coming up. They were like, who? Like one?
Yeah.
And you know, granted, like none of us pay attention to esports, but also. Fuck me dead. Some of these names were so hilarious.
So funny. And when it happened the first time, because I think they did yay first. And so I start reading like the esports coach names. I'm like, I don't even know how to say any of these. Yeah. Doom Bros, Roban, Score, Blade with letters with numbers instead of letters. Like, yeah, it's like capital G gamer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a few more of these. We got Content Creator of the Year went to Ludwig. Best multiplayer game went to Splatoon 3, which was interesting. I don't think there's too much for us to talk about there. There's Multiverses, Overwatch 2, COD, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Best sim/strategy game went to Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. It's snubbing 2 Point Campus, I guess. Best sports/racing game went to Gran Turismo 7. Best family game, a very confused category.
Yeah, what is this? Like, I understand what it's trying to do.
The Nintendo category.
I guess it's a weird one. It's such like these games are not the games for adults.
Isn't it that last year that It Takes Two was on there, which like I really wouldn't play with kids?
Yes, it was on there.
Yeah. So Kirby won that one, and there's Mario and Rabbids and Switch Sports and Splatoon 3 and Lego Star Wars. Good contenders.
Sure. Yeah, they all seem to be pretty good.
Best fighting game. The most important thing here is that Sifu didn't win, which is good because it shouldn't have been included.
Yeah.
Multiverses won. Okay, and then I think we're into the heavy hitters now. So we might breeze through a couple of random ones as we go through, but Best RPG for the nominees we had: Elden Ring, Live Alive, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And then Elden Ring won this. When I saw that happen, I was kind of a little upset, mostly because it was just like, I don't feel like the best parts of Elden Ring are its RPG elements. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's an excellent open world game. It's an excellent action adventure game. I don't play it for the role playing, you know what I mean? Like the RPG stuff. I don't think that's the best part of Elden Ring.
Yeah, I mean, look, I haven't played Xenoblade 3 or Triangle Strategy to know like how good they are. I wouldn't give it to Arceus, and I probably wouldn't give it to Live Alive.
Oh, really?
Oh, I mean, like, I didn't play enough of Live Alive to really know, but also Live Alive is a game from, like, the 80s. Like, that's, like, an old game. So, it's probably, like, I'm sure it's fine, but I don't know, like, Elden Ring.
Yeah, I know. It's just the kind of thing I saw it, I'm like, oh, nothing could compete with that. Like, left alone with Elden Ring in a room, like, you're not coming out alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ollie says in chat, you don't roleplay as Underpants Guy? Captain Underpants! I could do a Captain Underpants run in in Dark Souls.
I also feel like there is
room.
there is room to role play in games like Elden Ring, right? Like, you know, like the actual becoming a type of character. Like, what would my character kind of like main as? I think there is room for that.
You've got the leveling and the stats and the yeah, it's a good point. It just felt, I don't know. It felt like an unfair fight.
Maybe,
I guess.
But that's what happens when FromSoft enters the battle arena. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good point. Best action adventure, we've got Tunic, Stray, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, and A Plague Tale Requiem. Those were all the nominees.
Horizon robbed. Horizon Forbidden West robbed.
Wait, are you saying it took the award?
No, it was robbed of the award.
Yeah, I agree. God of War Ragnarok won this. This kind of started their massive sweep. Yeah, this is hard, and I think Ragnarok was at the top of the list for a lot of people because of how recent it was.
It's an award season game. I mean, you know, they don't release these games to be award season games because they're just too big and they've been going around for too long. But like, you know, like God of War is also like, and I use this is a very baity term to say like Oscar bait, but like it is more available to win those kind of awards and show them off more than maybe a Plague Tale would or a Tunic would.
Yeah, totally. So best action game, we had Bayonetta 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I guess, Neon White, Sifu, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. Bayonetta 3 won this, which is interesting.
Neon White robbed.
And Sifu, honestly. I was pulling for both of them, but look, I think Bayonetta 3 is
people. A lot of people seem to like the action quite a lot in that game. Every complaint I heard about that game was the story, not the combat.
It's also like a capital A action game, you know, like Devil May Cry, old school God of War. Like, yeah, it kind of fits the bill. Innovation and accessibility, we had As Dusk Falls, God of War Ragnarok, Returnal, Return to Monkey Island. Wait, why is Returnal there? The Last of Us Part 1 and The Quarry. Didn't Returnal come out 2 years ago?
PC maybe. Wait, no, it's not out for PC.
No, because the trailer for that was this.
Yeah, right.
This Game Awards. I don't know why that's there.
Yeah, I don't know why that's there.
Ragnarok won this. They do a great suite. And I haven't played any of the other games. Jerry, what's the Quarry's accessibility settings like?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Excellent. Best VR/AR game. I'm just going to tell you it was Moss Book 2. Mm-hmm. Best community support. Final Fantasy 14 Online was the winner. Best mobile game went to Marvel Snap.
Yes.
I think that's fairly accurate. Sam says Returnal, which is quite good. Best debut indie game. This the nominees were Neon White, Norco, Stray, Tunic, and Vampire Survivors.
Boo.
Stray won this one,
Boo.
not Vampire Survivors.
Cowards.
And Vampire Survivors was absolutely robbed here.
I've played all of the games in this category, and Stray is the worst one. Stray is the. I was going to say least best, but there's a word for that. It's called worst.
Yeah, which is a shame. Vampire Survivor, I really wanted it to get more of a nod. They had a good announcement during the show, but
without Sony, Stray wouldn't be here. I'll say it.
Yeah, good chance, honestly. You're still avoiding Marvel Snap in the chat. That's okay. That's fair enough. I mean, I kind of am too, but just because I don't want to kill my phone battery. Best indie game. So not just debut indie game, but indie game in general. We've got Cult of the Lamb, Sifu, Neon White, Stray, and Tunic. Stray won again.
Once again.
I think every other game on this list should have won. Was a strong contender. I need to play Stray. I can't really speak too much about what it was there or not.
It's fine. The cat gets a gun at some point or something. Like,
I like that. Best ongoing game. It's all the live service games. It went to Final Fantasy 14. Games for Impact. A strange category with a bunch of games I've never heard of. Do you know of many of these at all, Jeremy? Memoir Blue, As Dusk Falls, Citizen Sleeper, Endling, Extinction is Forever, Hindsight and I Was a Teenage Exocolonist.
I'd heard of A Memoir Blue. I had no interest in playing it as Dusk Falls, and I love Citizen Sleeper.
Yeah, but that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is another one where I felt like As Dusk Falls was the one that the most people played because it got the Game Pass push.
Yeah, kind of.
I feel like, yeah. Best performance went to Christopher Judge for God of War.
Who then spoke for 2 hours.
Yeah, he spoke for 8.5 minutes, I think.
It was a great speech.
Was it?
I thought it was pretty good.
It was pretty rambly. It was very nice and heartfelt.
Yeah.
But it felt very it kind of didn't go too many places. But yeah, that meant that Ashley Birch for Horizon, Charlotte McBurney for A Plague Tale, Manon Gage for Immortality, and Sonny Suljic for God of War Ragnarok. They were all pipped at the post. Best audio design. This was an interesting one. There was a lot of strong contenders this year, I think. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West. Ragnarok won this year. I wouldn't have, but
I wouldn't have. I think
no.
I might have given it to Gran Turismo 7 actually.
Yeah, right. Quite singular, directed, well executed audio design in that game.
Yeah.
Best score / music. We've got the score for A Plague Tale Requiem, the score for Elden Ring, the score for God of War Ragnarok, the score for Meta Hellsinger, and this person for I don't know what. Yasunori Mitsuda. I don't know for which game. Bear McCreary's God of War Ragnarok soundtrack.
Xenoblade 3, I believe.
Oh, Xenoblade. Okay. I do really like the God of War Ragnarok soundtrack. I know some people find it they didn't really notice it too much. I really dig it.
I didn't really notice it. Like I know the theme because I know the theme from the reveal trailer from E3 2017 or whatever. But like I don't. Yeah. I quite liked Elden Ring's score.
Yeah, me too.
I also didn't like Metal Hellsinger's score. So like I don't like metal music really that much.
It was bad, Jeremy's saying. It was bad. Best art direction. This one was interesting. It was Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Scorn, and Stray. And I feel like all of these games have quite unique visual designs. Elden Ring won this, which I thought was interesting. I think that's fair because I feel like with Elden Ring they weren't working with the highest fidelity assets, but they pulled off the vistas and the enemy designs and it just worked. It was so cohesive and interesting and amazing to explore visually.
Yeah, like you look at games like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 and to a lesser extent even 2 and 1, and it's like fuck, like these games they're not the prettiest games in the world, but fuck, like when the direction hits, it hits hard, and you can look at Elden Ring and go like it's just going to be another one of those, like the first time you go into the downstairs area of Elden Ring, it's like holy fuck, like look at this fucking place.
Yeah, or like the first time when you beat, or you go around the side of Stormvale, but when you beat Godric and you go outside of Stormvale and you see all of Leonia of the Lakes and the academy on the hill and the Erd tree in the distance, and it's pretty unforgettable.
Yeah.
Best narrative, we've got A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War. I'm surprised Elden Ring made it here. We've got God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and Immortality. Ragnarok won this, and I think if you've listened to our coverage, you would know that we probably aren't agreeing with that too much.
No, I would have given it to like either Horizon or Elden Ring, I guess. I think Elden Ring, like while it's the Souls game of like not really giving you like complete like end-to-end story through
like a plot.
Like not through cutscenes and stuff. I still think a lot of their storytelling, the story that they are telling is always really fascinating. And I think they told it the best in this one too. Yeah.
Out of the FromSoft games.
And I've not played enough Immortality. That's just like a whole thing, but I really would love to.
Last two here, we've got Best Game Direction, This was Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon, Immortality, and Stray. It went to Elden Ring. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. I think that's more than deserving here for this one.
I think that also could have gone to Immortality.
Yeah, that's a good point. That like you do need good direction for a game like Immortality, where it's so non-linear and almost Outer Wilds like, where it can branch off and kind of go in any direction, and it's all about how it all joins to itself.
I also genuinely don't know how you start making that game.
Yeah,
like I don't know how you make that game. I don't know how Sam Barlow does it.
Yeah, probably laboriously. And then final one, Game of the Year. We've got A Plague Tale: Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War: Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Elden Ring 1. And I don't know. I was a little surprised because God of War was getting a lot of awards throughout the night. I think this was the right call. I agree with this. I think this is great. Might be my Game of the Year, but it's I think this is a good pick.
Yeah, I think as the game of 2022 being Elden Ring, I think is the thing that you can look back on and go, yeah, I reckon so.
Yeah, 100%.
More than Stray.
Pardon?
More than Stray being on this list.
Yeah, Stray really, it was on here a lot. I need to play it before I really weigh in, but yeah, I don't know. Ollie's asking whether Sonic Frontiers was robbed. It's not here on the list.
And
did it make the cutoff?
It didn't make the cutoff because the website was bugged, and the website, like, okay, so Jeff Keighley's on stage saying after we removed all the bot votes, which I don't know if they were bot votes, Jeff. I think your website was broken, where if you didn't vote for Sonic Frontiers, the vote wouldn't register properly in one of the other categories.
That's funny.
I don't know if it was bot votes or if it was like actually broken. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So those are all the awards. It's interesting going through this each year and thinking about the awards and what the awards mean for the Game Awards. And we'll get to when we talk about the show.
Yeah.
As far as the reveals went during the Game Awards, I think this is one of the strongest reveal batches we've ever seen at the Game Awards in a good few years. How did you feel about it as a whole, Jeremy?
We'll get there.
In terms of the trailers that we saw and the announcements we saw.
Look, it's just weird only because there were so many other events this year that got cancelled kind of last minute or felt like that they were, is this PlayStation going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is EA going to have like a little thingy? Are they? Maybe not. They are. And so this being so set in stone, you could kind of see for a few months now that there was going to be quite a lot being shown here. I think because no one else really knew how they were going to show off their games. Right. Square Enix were going to have a thing as with Sony. Like
they decided to sell half their portfolio instead of have a press conference.
Yeah, it's neater that way. And then decided to rebrand a company and then demolish it or something.
Yeah.
But like I think we knew going into this that there was going to be a lot being shown. Like, there were companies teasing like, that the new Star Wars game is going to be there, and we knew that there was going to be a Final Fantasy 16 thing coming soon. So like a lot of these awards weren't like awards. A lot of these trailers, they weren't surprising at all. Like some of them were. There were a couple of like genuine surprises, but like a lot of them were like, oh yeah, like it's the new fucking Cyberpunk DLC that they were talking about 2 weeks ago. Oh, it's the fucking Diablo 4. Like, okay, like we got to release it, like that's neat, but like we knew that's coming. Like another trailer for Suicide Squad, like okay, I thought it was fine. I thought it was
okay,
like a G with a capital G, good with a full stop.
Capital G, fine.
Yeah. I think the thing is that like the exciting things that were announced were very exciting. The surprises were great.
And they were kept. A lot of them.
Some of them.
I know there were. Yeah. There are years where most things have been spoiled. I think most things here were kept unspoiled, which was cool.
Yeah.
So, do we want to go over them sort of bit by bit? Do you want to pick out your favorite 3 or the ones that just jump to the top of your mind? What do you reckon? I don't think we should do the whole list because there's like 60 trailers.
Yeah, no, I don't think we should do the whole list. I think like the I've got 4 that really stood out to me.
Great.
Being Armored Core.
Yeah.
Which is like this actually got like Armored Core got leaked about a year ago. We knew that they were making another one for quite a while. Which was exciting only because they haven't made one of those in a while, and since they made one of those,
hasn't made Armored Core since before Demon Souls.
Yeah, right. Which is like that's so exciting. Of like what does that look like now? And it's like number 6, right? So it's like they're not rebooting it; they're making a fucking another one.
It was such a wicked trailer too.
It's a cool fucking trailer. I'm very excited. Just to,
Fires of Rubicon.
Yeah, like what is that? I don't know. I don't watch Transformers, but that sounds like that.
Yeah.
I don't go here, but I'm excited.
It was one of your reveals what Ollie's saying in chat.
Hades 2 was the biggest surprise, I think.
Yeah. It's such a welcome one.
Yeah, like honestly, like it was. I remember I was sitting at lunch with a couple of people who also really like Hades, and we were sitting around like the table watching.
Who doesn't like Hades?
Right, but like we know people like Hades.
Sure.
And so we were like, oh my god, like this is exciting. Is this expandalone DLC? Is this just a regular DLC pack?
Yeah.
Or is this another game? And
well, for me, the thing that got me was like I was really digging the trailer because there's that like 20 seconds where they're fighting and it's silhouettes. And I'm looking at the style and I'm listening to the music. I'm like, oh, this has got to be super giant. I can hear it. I can hear Darren in the music. What is it? What is it?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
And then like we noticed the wreath like on this character's head, and we're like, that's a Hades wreath. And so we were like, okay, is this a new game? Is this like they don't often do sequels. Well, they've never done sequels.
They've never done a sequel.
And so we're like, okay, like, and then they announced that it was Hades 2 and it's coming to early access. And I'm like, the early access announcement actually took the wind out of myself just a little bit.
Right, because you could play it soon, but you want to play the full game, which is not going to be soon.
Yeah. And playing the full game without playing any of the early access stuff, like I think that was probably the way I'm going to play that game.
As someone who did play it in early access, I agree that you should play it in full release.
And so I'm like, oh, that's exciting and great, but I probably am going to wait longer.
Yep.
The other 2 for me that kind of stood out was the fucking what's that crime boss game?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
Crime boss Rocky.
Rocky City.
Rocky City, which I'm sitting here going like, that's like, well, first of all, Michael Madsen in his wicked old age is on stage with what I'm assuming is only like the 2 people next to him were like his carers. They were not his carers; they were actors. But fuck, my man looks old.
I didn't know who that was. I was working the event and I was busy. I was getting stuff typed. I was uploading a trailer, something, and then I tuned back in. I'm like, who is this?
Yeah, he's a very like he's a classic actor from like the 80s and stuff. Like then this trailer comes out and it's got like fucking Danny Trejo in it, Kim Basinger is in it, Vanilla Ice. Danny Glover shows up, Chuck Norris is at the end. I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? And they all look great. Michael
Rooker.
Michael Rooker's in. Oh no, he is in it. Yeah. I'm sitting here like, what is this? Who is this? Who is making this game? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea who made this game.
It looked the 6 tiny bits of gameplay they showed in between all of these like character introductions.
Yeah.
Was like, this looks like Payday. This looks like a nice AA heist shooter. It's like they got like a really good budget and they've just spent it all on some of the oldest, most revered Hollywood actors in the business.
Look, here's the thing: Chuck Norris, Danny Trejo, and Vanilla Ice, and honestly, probably Danny Glover. They're probably not that expensive anymore.
Maybe.
And Michael Madsen, he doesn't do a whole lot anymore, so I don't reckon he's that. I reckon probably the most expensive person probably fucking Kim Basinger, which is so funny. Apparently, they're an indie game dev team in the Czech Republic.
Right. Okay. Please don't tell me they're quadruple I.
I have no idea.
Triple I.
I have no idea.
Good.
And yeah, like the final thing that honestly excited me the most was there's that Castlevania Dead Cells collaboration that they were making.
Oh, come off it.
No, I'm genuinely excited for that. That looks cool as hell. I love Dead Cells. And
that's interesting.
And the fact that they don't that's such a cool collaboration. That reminded me, I'm watching this trailer and I'm like, is this a Castlevania and Cadence of High what's the
Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Crypt of the Necrodancer. I was like, you know what? Castlevania's got some good music. They could do a really awesome Crypt of the Necrodancer Castlevania game. It's the right size game for a spin-off like that. It's not the most super popular franchise, but people love it. It's got a very distinct style. I reckon they could make a sick version of that. And then they showed off its fucking Dead Cells. I'm like, that is such a good connection. That is such.
It is because it's got the Metroidvania base, right?
Yeah.
And so that does make sense. I have a weird feeling about Dead Cells because since it came out, they've been peddling out DLC like nobody's business, like every 2 or 3 months, nonstop. And there was some dispute about whether a different team took over or the developer sold the rights to the publisher or something, or the publisher took. There was something like that. It was a brief news item and then it was gone, and it just had me feeling like I don't know if the creative team behind this is pulling the strings anymore, or if this is just a financial decision. So that I do love Dead Cells, but that I feel a bit hesitant with their newer content. I need to look all that stuff up though. Don't take all of that at my word.
What was big for you? Actually,
sorry, it was cool.
So I do have a question for you just before you jump into the stuff that excited you. I know that we both love Final Fantasy VII, and I know that you have not been that excited for Final Fantasy 16. At least not to the extent where it's like, oh my god, must play game, right?
Yeah.
Now, what is your revised feelings on Final Fantasy 16? Are you more excited for this game now that we've seen plenty more of it? We have a pretty good understanding of it. Yeah. Okay, so am I, because I think this game is going to absolutely fucking rip.
Yeah, I do too. And that's partly because I worked a couple of Final Fantasy features, and I went through the 3 Final Fantasy 16 trailers we had 18 times each. So I really got into those trailers, and I'm like, I think they're really trying to do something here. They're crappy racism hand waving aside. The type of story they're trying to tell, the setting, the scope and scale of it, the slightly more linear aspect, I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love the idea of how they're earning the icons, the summons, and how they're such a big part of the story, and they're going to be these big set piece moments. It's looking really good. Honestly, the biggest thing I'm worried about is that they've given away too much in the trailers. I feel like when you watch them a lot, you could piece together a lot of what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, you got to remember this is going to be a 60-hour game. Yeah,
no, totally. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. And so their trailer, it was kind of just good to see more of it. Yeah, I am excited, and it came with a release date too. It's coming out in June. Yeah, late June next year. So fingers crossed it doesn't get too delayed, but if it does, then that's fine. I'm excited to play it.
I actually don't think it will. Everything we've heard about this game, they've always just been yeah, it's on track. We're doing great.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, we've heard nothing but positive things coming out of the development of this game.
Yeah.
When it comes to milestones and all that stuff.
Honestly, its biggest hurdle will be if Breath of the Wild gets delayed and moves its butt closer.
Look, if there's a game that could take it on, it would be a Final Fantasy.
That's true. Yeah, so Final Fantasy 16 was cool. The Death Stranding 2 announcement was a big surprise. And it was another. It was funny to see another Kojima trailer, not know what it was, find out what it was, and then it keeps going, and then it did that classic new Kojima trailer thing of ending 4 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, here's the Death Stranding logo, here's a new scene, here's the Kojima Productions logo, here's a new scene, here's the list of the cast, here's a new scene. It's like, what the fuck? But like, that was interesting. There was some interesting other things to look at, but just they were kind of cursory. I do have to say though, I loved the Star Wars Jedi Survivor trailer. I thought it was sick, and it was just enough to get me so excited. I love how little they've shown, and I love how excited the bit that they have shown has got me.
Don't you worry, we will see plenty of that game very soon.
Yeah, but it's not like it's going to be at this Game Awards and then the next E3 and then the next Game Awards. It's coming out in 3 months. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there'll be some release trailers, and I don't have to watch them because they won't be part of every event between here and 2025. But yeah, if anything, I was kind of surprised. Like, we didn't see anything from Xbox. We hardly saw anything from Nintendo. We didn't get a Zelda or anything. It was kind of strange, and we didn't really get that much from Sony. What we got the most from Sony was like PC game announcements for stuff that was part of the Nvidia leak, like Returnal.
Every day, as days go by, that leak proves more and more true.
Yeah, it's corroborated every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, if I had to pick one last thing, I really liked the like 1 minute clip of the Mario movie that they showed. The more and more I see of that movie, the more I'm excited to just give it a watch and have a good time.
Yeah.
Like
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like there was that moment where they're on the 2 platforms and they get close, and Mario's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta jump on this platform," and he then misses it, and I was like, "Whoa!" They're like, it's just kind of like, it's just rat brain look at screen and go, "Wow!" But like, I'm excited to do that. Yeah. Those are the big ones. Those are the ones I can think off the top of my head. Like, other stuff like Earthblade was there, like from the team that made Celeste, but we didn't really see much, so it's hard to get excited about it. Yep. That's about it for me. That Armored Core trailer though, so sick. If people are watching, they haven't seen the Armored Core trailer, I highly recommend you watch it. It's just such a stylish piece of media almost. Like, just the start of it is so cool.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy.
All right, Kerry.
This is me. I've been holding you by the collar, and you've been. Arr, 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 arr. All right, boy. Off you go. Let's talk about the show itself. Let's talk about the Game Awards.
Man, fuck the Game Awards. Like, it's
okay.
Just,
what's that, Jeremy?
It's the same thing every year. It's like,
yep.
It is just this showy, flashy, hollow shell of an award show. And like, I'm gonna say this as someone who used to watch the Oscars. The Oscars is the same thing. It's the exact same fucking thing.
They don't have trailers throughout the Oscars.
Yeah, but it's almost meaningless.
Right.
It's for show, and it's
professional ego stroking.
It's politics, and it's rubbing shoulders. Like, I think the Oscars does a better job at least. Like, okay, first of all, the Oscars is very long. It is very, very long. It is too long. I think it's like 4 hours or something in total.
Were you watching the clock before?
Yeah, I know, but it's like, and there's like shitty like gags in between, and like, but they also do like a show, they have like the musical numbers and all this stuff. Like, it's a thing that you like to go to, right?
Yeah.
Going to the Game Awards, you get the same experience online as you do in person, because it's a show made for, like, it's a web awards show, right? The Oscars is still a thing that they want you to be there. They don't sell tickets for it, but like, you get invited to it and you get to see like a whole production, because they're all drama kids, all drama nerds. And so the Game Awards has this weird thing where it's trying to be the Oscars of video games while also accidentally being the Oscars of video games. Even when you rewind 4 years ago when Joseph Perez is on stage saying fuck the Oscars and everyone's like, haha, yeah, like we're video games, you know, like fuck the man, you know, we're the underdogs. And it's like, yeah, but like, boy, do you really wish you were the Oscars in that regard, because the awards seem to be the least important thing to your show.
Yeah.
And that
I do agree with that complaint. And I do think it is a problem, but I don't know how it's one they solve, because this is also the most watched award show of the year, because people don't come to watch for the awards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like at that point, why doesn't Keeley just run his own mini E3?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because by virtue of it having so many eyes on it, in some ways it does lend a different weight to those awards compared to many others, and also because it's voted on by a large pool of game critics, many of who we listen to and we trust.
Yeah, like and that's fine and good. Apart from then the show becomes not about the awards, not even really about the really as much about the games getting the awards. And then it becomes moments, right? It's this trailer, or it's Al Pacino, or it's Michael Madsen's on stage, or you know, like it's Daniel Craig and Ryan Johnson from calling in live to, I guess, talk about an award or something, because Netflix were there and they had a deal with Ryan Johnson, which means they could pull his collar and get Daniel Craig to sit down in a camera and it's just so obvious and it's so plain, and it just doesn't celebrate the people that make the game really at all. Doug Bowser's accepting the award for Bayonetta 3. Nintendo didn't make that game.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is an award to give to a product and not the people that made the game. And then the owners of that product can come and accept it. And it's up to the owners of that product to decide if they want to give the creative people, you know, the workers who made the game, the award or not. You know, like, I'm glad Miyazaki got to go on stage and, you know, accept the Game of the Year award for Elden Ring. I think that's good. I don't know who would have gone up to accept the award for Game of the Year if, say...
Xenoblade.
Yeah. That probably would have been Doug Bowser. You know, I'm suit.
Yeah, you don't think Monolith were going to make it?
I don't reckon they would have at all.
Yeah. It's a good point. That's a really good point. It may be more Nintendo specific than anything. Because we did see a lot of developers go up on stage. Like, with God of War winning as many awards as it did, the different people who it pertained to went up on stage. You saw from the narrative director, you saw from someone on the accessibility team accept the accessibility reward. You saw the reward award. You saw the I don't know if Eric Williams made it up on stage, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That is a good point. I don't think they're entirely without merit.
I think it always feels disingenuous, because the show always becomes about, we need the biggest reveals. You know, we need the biggest reveals, and we need the biggest reveals to the detriment of people actually caring about the awards that we're giving. And at no point is there a conversation where they're saying, okay, this might actually take away from the show that we're trying to show. You know, this might take away from the people's awards. If people
because the reveals are the show.
Yeah, and that is, at that point, like, you're not making an awards show anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're just not doing that. You are making a show that has, like, you know, okay, so next year, right, if they show the exact same thing and don't do any awards, they get the same amount of viewers, maybe more.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
No, I don't think so. I think there's enough people who would find that too disingenuous. The veil that they can, the amount that is there gives enough for people to hang on to that they can agree with it. But I don't think that the thousands and thousands of people watching are that vapid that they wouldn't have some issue with that.
There would be people tuning in because the awards wouldn't be there.
Yeah, not enough. I don't think there would be enough to fill in the backlash.
What I'm saying is, it's not going to make a dent.
Yeah, I'm disagreeing with you, and I'm saying it would.
I genuinely think that the most important thing to these awards always ends up being the announcements, right? Like, I agree, and that sucks. That is not a good way to make a show, to make people care about the show, right? It feels far more disingenuous when they know it, and at that point, like, do you remember at all? Okay, probably harder to ask you because you weren't watching the show, just watching the show. But like the actual like moment that God of War Ragnarok won Best Narrative, like I barely remember it.
Actually, yeah,
I barely remember it because it was bookended by just giant announcements over and over again. You know, you're flooded with information. There is such an influx of information of new game announcements, and they're all quite big and they're all, you know, useful and stuff. But
that's a good point. It's kept tight because people are coming for an award show, and so when people are like, "How did you find this year's Game Awards?" It's like, "Oh, it was a bit slow," and so then they tighten it up.
Yep. They need to do a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and maybe that's have like two separate events happening. You can run them back to back.
Yeah, right. I don't see that ever happening.
Well, no, of course not, because
there's a pretense to this. And you're right. At this point, a large part of it is quite false. Like, we're there for the awards. We voted in the awards. We're excited for what the awards are, but we get there and we're most excited for the reveals.
And we're there to have, you know, to rub shoulders with Al Pacino, and, you know, like we're there to say that we had Daniel Craig, you know, on the big screen, and
that sort of like legitimize me, notice me.
And it's always been like this. It has always been like this, of like this level of, well, who's the most famous people we can get? You know, who is the most known important person that we could possibly get? You know, like Elon Musk is not out of place at a Game Awards. Like they could get him and it would be a thing that they would say, we've got Elon Musk presenting an award. You know, it's never about, it's not even like, you know, fucking Al Pacino's on stage making, you know, jokes about how he can't read it, and this might come as a surprise to you, but I don't play games. And I'm like, look, I think it's funny that Al Pacino's there because it's funny that Al Pacino's there.
Yeah.
But like,
why is Al Pacino
there? Like, he's like,
yeah, I found myself asking that question.
Like Michael Madsen, you know, bless him, he's in a video game now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They had some good moments. Like the moment with Troy and Ashley and Bella and Pedro, like that was fun, I thought. That was sweet. Good fun and relevant.
Yeah.
And like, where else can you kind of get a moment like that?
Sure.
Like that was cool.
That's fine. Yeah. No issues with that.
And like the time where they had remember when they had Reggie and Phil and who was it from
Sean Layden.
PlayStation? Was it Sean Layden? Yeah, when they had all three of them on stage, and then 2 out of the 3 of them quit.
Yeah, and now it was, they had Doug Bowser on stage accepting awards, Reggie in the audience making "My body's ready" jokes, and Phil sweating in the stands, knowing that he just got sued.
Because he knew he didn't have anything at the show.
Well, no, beyond that, because that morning he's gotten a lawsuit and a letter saying the FTC is coming for you. Like it was like, what a different look at the industry from that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex has said in chat, it's a celebration of games and not the people that make them. The devs feel so removed from the equation. You're right.
That's true. It's a celebration of product. You know, it's a celebration of, you know, I like that they are 2 awards from saying like we're giving an award for the best selling game of the year.
Right, I see what you, yeah.
Like it has got nothing to do with like, you know, like saying that this is like the best game that exists. It's like, no, like you're here, but also like we're selling commercials, you know. The Fire Emblem is out there flogging their DLC for their game that isn't out yet in the middle of an awards show. While the head of Nintendo of America is standing on stage accepting an award for a company that I don't think they even own.
So, Jeremy,
yes,
I have one sort of final question on this.
Yes.
What are you going to do next year, and how are you going to feel if it's largely unchanged?
As same as I am this year, and I will continue beating my drum.
Because at some point, I just accept what we're going to get. You know, I accept the amount of like not suspension of disbelief. It's not that, but I'm accepting the show on its terms. I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, I refuse, and I think that I think an award show like the Game Awards likes to put itself in a position where they don't consider themselves able to, like, there is a level of critique that they get to skip, because they can say they're an award show, or they can say that they are at least a celebration of the games that come out. You know, like Jeff Keighley likes to go on Twitter and sort of semi-report games news a lot, even though that's not his job anymore, and hasn't been for quite a while, because, like, truthfully, the Game Awards is just a place for publishers to market games, that he's probably largely in a PR role than anything else.
Right.
While also getting to take on the persona of like games reporter.
Like a media personality.
Yeah, which he's not. Because this is his job now, is running the Game Awards company, running
Summer Game Fest. Yeah,
like the other one. Like it's like this is a public relations show. If I can get my words out, that likes to sort of lift itself away from the scrutiny of an E3. You know, Summer Game Fest likes to just wrap its big arms around every press show that happens around the E3 time, while also keeping an arm's distance of action. Well, you know, like, we didn't make this show. Summer Game Fest we had our showcase, but like, oh, did you think that Gearbox show was bad? Well, like, it's part of Summer Games Fest, but like, we didn't make the Gearbox showcase. The Game Awards gets to do its own thing. You know, they get to be there. They get to have every important person in gaming there. Every head of studio, every head of platform gets to go to the Game Awards. They get to make announcements and take monies from companies that are dreadful. You know, Modern Warfare 2 got to advertise a lot. I got to do its own advertisement there. You know, like, Phil Spencer's there trying to buy that company, but
yeah,
like you know, Jeff Keighley can still accept money from Activision Blizzard and continue to accept that money to show off their game, while celebrating games without the people that make them, really, and without having them on stage and getting Al Pacino on there so he can hang out with Al Pacino. Like, the whole thing is just a mess. Like, none of this is helpful to anybody aside from the Game Awards. What purpose does this awards show bring to the industry? There was no issues.
What does E3 bring to the industry?
Like, well, E3 was a trade show. E3 is having its own issues, right? Where they don't...
sure, but what are the press conferences these days have for the industry?
Yeah, so the press conferences less and less have relevance and don't really have as much. But at least that show is surrounded by developers, and the developers can go on stage. They can talk about their games a little bit. They will demo their game just like they're on the expo show floor of PAX, where they will give a brief spiel about the game. They get to stand there with controller, whether or not they're playing it or not, and they will show off a game that they made. Maybe talk a little bit why they're making it. They will, do their spiels about, in the newest addition to the Assassin's Creed franchise, in this one you get to fly the bird, blah, 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 blah. They are there at the very least on stage.
I feel like far less than you remember.
Like, I'm not saying they're there a lot, but they're there, right? Whereas, like, the Game Awards is they press play on a trailer, similar to a Nintendo Direct. But at least at E3, the devs usually are at the show. You can get interviews. You can get people talking about them. You can have hey, congrats on your showing at E3. Talk to me about this game in depth. And you can actually interview the developers on their game. Whereas this was just a chopped up Nintendo Direct. And like, what do the awards really mean at the end of the day when none of it feels celebratory?
Yeah,
really.
I would say for the purposes of the show, it's a pretense.
Yeah, but they don't treat it like it was maybe the original reason why they've wanted to do this show, but but he's tried to this is not the first revision of the Game Awards. The Game Awards has existed back when it was like Spike TV were hosting it, he's been trying to make this show, but for a very long time, and making this show for a very long time, and it's not been about the awards for such a long time now that it just feels fake. It feels plastic. It feels like this mold.
Don't watch it, buddy.
Well, I mean, but it is unfortunately it is an important industry showing now, because we get not awards related news out of it up the wazoo. And so now I am contractually obligated by one Mr. Jeff Keighley, because I get his emails every time he does a show saying like, here's your co-stream pack so you can stream the Game Awards to your own Twitch channel, and he sends me like funny little overlays I could put in my OBS, which I'm not going to do. He has made himself a presser, a conference. He's made himself a conference. Is what he has made. And so calling it an awards show has become disingenuous to its purpose, because it's a conference now with awards,
I guess.
And that's bad. And it should be critiqued.
It should be critiqued.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big a deal, personally.
Yeah, but
I also don't think that it escapes critique the way you say it does. I think it is one of the most critiqued shows that happens every year.
Yeah, but in a way that nothing changes, because the money continues to roll in, and therefore it shall keep getting critiqued and deserves more critique every year.
Yeah, it's just like how the FIFA games on Switch keep getting critiqued, but they also keep selling, even though they haven't changed in 4 years. Like,
yeah, but what, like, your attitude is very like, yeah, why are you bothering?
No, it's just more like, I don't know. I don't mind it being a conference. I understand that the awards are less than half of the show.
That's bad. You accepting that for what it is, as instead of critiquing for what it should be, is you saying, well, why are you bothering to care? Don't watch it. I can't not watch it. We're doing this. It's the Game Awards. Those two things don't add up to the way they do.
Yeah, but the only reason we have to watch it is because of the announcements. Because every year they do DICE, an award show, and every year we don't watch it, even though that one is about the developers. So like there's a push and pull. This show only exists because it is the way it is. And it only gains the audience it gets because it is the way it is.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not worth critiquing and talking about.
No, and I'm not trying to say you shouldn't critique it.
Yeah, but you're saying
I think part of what I'm saying, Jeremy, is because we have been in this segment of the podcast for a while now, and I feel like we've gone in circles a little bit.
Yeah, but you're saying, why are you watching it? I'm like, what kind of question is that?
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair enough.
Yeah,
it's just, I feel at some point it is...
Because it's always been like this does not give it an excuse to be like this.
No, I know, but I also feel like at some point it is unproductive to wait for the Game Awards to be the same each year and be the same amount of angry at it each year. You know what I mean? Like,
no, because it's anger in the hope of change. If they changed and they became a legitimate awards show about the awards, instead of about meeting celebrities backstage, then I would love that, and it would get the praise it deserves. And I just want a better future for our industry, and this does nothing for it.
Okay. Well, Jeremy, I think we should make a deal to watch the DICE Awards this year.
Yeah, actually, let's do that.
Let's do that.
When is that?
It's early in the year. I think it's usually February or March. Okay. That one, and that's cool because you avoid the problem of this show happens in December, so you miss all of the December games as part of 2022, and then they never get remembered for the 2023 awards, or insert year number here. No, we should see what the DICE Awards are like. We should spruik for them and shout their praises if they're doing the Lord's work.
All right, Kerry, what are you doing? What are you doing on the 21st of February?
Not celebrating my birthday because that's weeks beforehand.
I was hoping your birthday is going to be in like August. Just whenever anyone asks you what are you doing on any day that's not your birthday.
Not celebrating my birthday.
All right, I'll tell you what you're doing on the 19th of February.
Oh, okay.
You're hopping on a plane with me, and we're going to the DICE Awards.
We're going to the DICE Awards, baby! Oh, that'd be funny. Okay, everybody, we're going to have a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about random games that we've been playing. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be random. We'll be right back.
It's not random, it's decided. We decided.
Completely arbitrary.
It's our show.
Welcome back to the MiniMapCast. We've been speaking about Death Stranding, DICE Awards. What else were we talking about? We're talking about Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah,
we went through our Spotify statistics for the podcast.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, for any podcast, if anyone who has a podcast that is on Spotify and is connected to like the Spotify dashboard thing, Spotify will give you a Podcasters Wrapped, which is a fun, like, silly, like, hey, what if you did a Spotify Wrapped but for your podcast? And it's just like, this is how many people listen to your podcast and what your listeners are like. And it's like, nonsense.
And where they're from.
Nonsense.
That's right. I see you, Jonathan.
Who's Jonathan?
12 Crescent Way.
Who? You just dock someone?
Well, it says where you live, and then I made a joke like,
There's some Jonathan at home listening who lives at 12 Curzon Way who is sweating right now.
Yeah, that's the joke, Jeremy. I got him. I got you, Jonathan. We're going to talk about games we've been playing this week, and Jeremy's going to bring it in with the most timely references you could ever dream of, as we can only do on this show. Jeremy, tell us about how much more Stranger Paradise you've played.
All right.
Final Fantasy Origin.
All right. Get ready, everybody. So I have a list of games that I am going to play by the end of this year for Game of the Year. I'm putting together my collection. I've only got one more game that I want to finish before Game of the Year, which is next week. Next week.
For us, indeed, it is. This me looking down to the right is me looking at the date on my computer,
And I had two games on that list, and I added a third because I realized how short that's like Solarius game or whatever it's called is, because it's like 4 hours. Anyway, I haven't played that one. What I have played and finished was Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. I finished it. I looked up how long I had left. And I went, you know what? I can get that done. I know where I'm at. Pulled up a list of all the quests in order and went, oh, I'm here. I can get to there by the end of the year. turns out, got there by the end of the week. Anyway.
Nice one.
I finished it. So I'm just going to say flat out, spoilers for Final Fantasy Origin. No, for Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin.
More than that, though, right? You're saying full spoilers.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about what happens in this game, which is like, look, not a whole lot that you don't see coming, I'll be honest.
It's like 10 months old. And it's like one of the oldest games you could be talking about for Game of the Year.
Yeah. And it's a prequel to the original Final Fantasy game. So like
30 years old.
Yeah. But also it like leads directly into that. Okay, so I'm in Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. I'm just gonna say flat out, this game plays really fucking well.
Okay.
I wasn't super into it at the beginning. Like it was fine. I was getting through it, and I thought like the combat was pretty good, but not great.
A lot of systems.
A lot of systems. Let me tell you, once you figure it out. Which is actually, it's actually not so bad. It's not nearly as complicated as some other games that I've played. And once you find the shortcuts, right? There are actually a lot of shortcuts that allow you to engage with the systems as much as you would like. So there's an optimized gear button, which you can just keep hitting every now and again to just give you the best gear. There's a lot of skill trees, and you can. So the way it works is that like there are different classes that you can choose, which are called jobs. And each job has its own skill tree. Once you get to level 30, at the end of a lot of those skill trees inside of these jobs are more jobs. Some of them require multiple final unlocks in skill trees from across multiple jobs, which lead into more and more jobs. I think there's about 15 or so different classes, and they all play fairly differently. They all have... there's a few different weapon types, like there's spears and swords and magic wands and stuff. And the different mages, they all use the magic wand weapon, right? So it's not like you're choosing different weapons every single time. But they all have different functions, and there's sort of basic ones. There's sort of 4 difficulties of the actual jobs that exist. Which the further and further you go down through, the more and more skill trees that you unlock, the more complicated they become in terms of unlocking their genuine potential. For the most part, if you're good at action games, or at least if you get good at this action game, then you'll be fine. If you can get to level 30 at a job, in a job, which is the maximum level a job can reach. If you find one that suits you, you can stick with that probably for the whole game.
Right.
At that point, it's all about your gear score and leveling up, which is just you collecting gear, which sort of rubber bands to your level anyway, and just every now and again going into your settings and tweaking your auto disassembly, because you get a ton of gear and it fills up your inventory very quick. And so there's an auto disassembly system that you can turn on so that any gear that is sort of this level or lower, you just automatically delete at the end of the level. So once you figure out that the systems are sort of can be optimized or sort of auto-completed in a way, or automated.
Streamlined.
Yeah. The systems is mostly about for me, myself, I was sort of completing jobs. I was getting level 30 on a lot of jobs, which level 30 is when you get, level 30 will give you enough points to max out the entire skill tree in that job, which can do things like, give you more health or do more damage or give you more moves which are specific to that job when you're doing combos, or make some of your other abilities sort of last longer, which are not specific to each job. I found myself, one of the most engaging things in this game was completing a job, looking at the bottom list saying, okay, well, this job leads into one called Death Knight, and I don't know what Death Knight is, so I'm going to finish this job, get the Death Knight unlock in this tree, and then go to what other requirement it needs, and go through the multiple skill trees to get to the end of that, so then I can unlock Death Knight and see what that's like. And then Death Knight onwards from there will allow you to unlock more and more jobs.
Jesus, how many are there?
I think there's 15, which is quite a lot.
That's it? The way you're talking about it makes it sound like there's 100.
But you start off with 4. or 3.
Right.
I think you start off with 3 jobs, and then when you get to the end of those, you then get more unlocking from those, and they sort of branch out further and further.
Out.
Yeah. So you don't get like 9 at the beginning. You only get like I want to say 3, and I think it's like sword, melee, and magic.
Yeah.
And then it was quite enjoyable. Like by the end of the game, I hadn't unlocked nearly all of them. There might be more than 15. I'm not too sure. But that was really, really fun. That was like a really enjoyable aspect, was going through and sort of like beelining different parts, because like while they're at the bottom of the skill tree, you don't need to unlock all of the skills to get to that point. So you can get to like level 18 in a certain job, get the unlock, and say, I actually don't really like playing as a dragoon, for example. I'm going to go to the other one, go through that. I actually really enjoy doing this one. I'm going to max out this skill tree because it's fun and the combat is engaging. So that was really great. I had a great time with that. The writing in this, we've seen the trailers for this. It's disjointed as hell. It is weird. The dialogue is odd.
And it's really like tonally dissonant, right? You got this like modern day guy in Final Fantasy land. And
they do this thing where like every level is a different Final Fantasy game inspired level.
Yeah.
Each level is like, oh, this is inspired from the Marco reactor in Final Fantasy VII. This is inspired from this part of Final Fantasy IV. Weird stuff. Really weird stuff.
And like not spelled out for you, right? Like you got to find that. Like people had to like recognize that.
Yeah, yeah. And also it's not related to anything. Like you're not going through a romp of the Final Fantasy universe. It's just weirdly inspired by.
Right.
The plot of the game is like, hey, there's these chaos crystals and there are these 3 warriors. These 3 warriors don't remember who they are, but they all know they're on the same mission. And that is to find and capture the chaos crystals and hopefully destroy chaos, which is taking over the world. You then meet a couple more heroes as a party of 5. And you call yourselves the Warriors of Light, basically. Just kind of prophesized in this funny sort of roundabout way.
Right.
You then have to defeat 4 fiends. Capital F, proper noun, fiends.
Yeah, that's what they are in Final Fantasy.
So they are in Final Fantasy, and these are like, one of them is like a kraken, like, and they're the elements. There's a water one, there's an earth one, there's a fire one.
Lightning?
Wind. Wind is the other. Yeah, fire, water, earth, wind.
It's funny how they changed that up in the game.
Yeah.
I like that.
And as you are going along, you are like, there is like this darkness mist that is causing you to remember more and more about your past. And
of course.
And our protagonist, Jack Garland, he doesn't like that. Not a fan of this. Does not enjoy, like he knows that there is a reason that is why they are called strangers in this world. Strangers is a capital S proper noun of the name of the kind of person they are, which is stranger to the world, right? Like they don't know who they are, they have no connection to anything, they have a mission, they're going to execute on the mission. Jack's whole thing is he likes to fight. Well, that's his purpose, that's his drive.
Yeah,
he needs to fight. He needs a battle, Mr. Jack Garland. So they go along. They get to a point where they figure out that there's an ancient race called like the Lufenians or something, and they are somewhat in charge of this, of this world. And things come alight, things come about. You start to realize that maybe these Lufenians are not so great. That there's that maybe this has happened before. You know, why is Jack Memories talking about things that might have actually happened before? Why did he forget all these things? And you find out
he stops running away from the past.
Kinda. He's got this moment where you fight this again, spoilers, but you fight one of your allies throughout a lot of this game, this dark elf named Astos. You end up fighting him, who was helping you through a lot of the game. Astos becomes Ultima weapon because every Final Fantasy needs an Ultima weapon.
Right.
And then you remember that Jack and Astos, you were friends. And Astos Astos is not actually a dark elf. Astos is an AI creation, which Jack was told, hey, don't care about this the life of this creation that we've made. Like, just ignore it. Like, we can replace him. But Jack over his many battles in the past, created a connection to it. So
Jack's a droid sympathizer, a Geth sympathizer.
Well, a clone sympathizer, maybe we say.
Oh my god, for sure.
Anyway, so you then realize that you're actually in this sort of time loop situation, and that to break out of it,
they were 1 year late for the year of time loops.
I know, right? They were 2 months late because it's a February game. This is an early game.
Yeah.
Jack then realizes to break out of this time loop that I need to be chaos, right? And
right.
maybe
what he wanted to kill chaos.
He wanted to kill chaos, but maybe he's got to open his heart up to chaos, and he knows the prophecy of the Warriors of Light. There's only 4. There's only 4 Warriors of Light. And then what was genuinely exciting was your party become a boss battle, which was pretty sick.
Like, you fight the whole party?
You fight your whole party all at once.
Whoa. Is this like the final battle?
Not even the final battle. Final battle is Chaos himself, of course.
Right.
Because
is that very similar to I feel like you fight Chaos earlier in the game. Like in the demo and like the first level you fight, it's like Chaos question marks?
No, this is like the demon you fight. It looks quite like what Garland looks like in Final Fantasy as the main villain,
right? And
then you sort of combine and take his form, kind of.
Okay,
you still become a guy, but yeah. So you fight your party. Your party has actually been trying to make you more powerful this whole time.
Yeah.
And that is they flash back to some of the weird fucking disjointed conversations you're having at the beginning of the game. That first dungeon, that was that demo, right? They have this flashback to that moment where there's like this fucking weird ass moment where like they're like, that's Jack. Only Jack could do to fight like that. And Jack's like, oh, what are you talking about? And then like they don't bring it up because it's weird and you think that game is written like that, but really they're talking about it.
Oh my god!
And they pull that on you in a way that I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. You know what?
You did it on purpose.
You motherfucker! You did it. Hell yeah!
Wow. That's fascinating.
Really kind of neat. Still, at the end of the day, not great in its presentation wise all the way around. It's not the most cohesive game at all. But that was cool. And then you fight Chaos at the end of the game. The final cutscene is like in like one of the trailers, which is Jack walking up to his throne, which has got skulls all over it. And then it's got like this, like, like it plays like a little cutscene sort of thing. And then it's got this full Final Fantasy CG, super high def CG cutscene.
Okay.
And this cutscene is Jack, now finally Garland.
Right.
The
Chaos,
the main protagonist of Final Fantasy
antagonist.
The main antagonist, Final Fantasy 1. Doing everything he spelled out this plan, right? He spelled out this plan that like what I need to do is I need to become Chaos. I need to become the ultimate bad guy, because at only the darkest point in the world can 4 Warriors of Light truly come out and save this world.
Right.
And so he becomes the villain knowing that 4 Warriors of Light will be birthed out of the darkest moment in this world.
At what point does he realize that he and his group aren't the Warriors of Light?
Very, very close to the end.
Right, okay.
Yeah, very, very close to the end. He then realized that he needs to become the ultimate villain to create the ultimate heroes to finally break the time loop.
Yeah, bit of a crap rationalization, but it's fun.
But also like it is fun.
Yeah, like I think that's a crap thing that I think no one would actually think, but as like a plot device, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like he's the one that's like, I need to become, and so he has this whole like thing where he's like, I'm gonna bring chaos into my heart. Like your combat changes a little bit. You get like a whole new meter, which is just like chaos meter. And it it's just like, it is constantly full, and I don't know if the meter does anything, but it makes you feel fucking wicked.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was neat. And then this final cutscene is Jack in his armor that he has in the first game, and he goes to the castle, breaks in, kidnaps the princess, massacres guards, and I've
seen that. Does the game start with that?
I don't think so. I've never seen this.
If the game doesn't, then the trailer does.
The trailer might show some of it.
Or rather, the demo. The demo does.
Maybe.
I've seen that whole scene.
Yeah.
And it's bloody, right?
It is
it's
gory.
Like mist and...
Yeah. And
that's fascinating.
Yeah. And then... So I'm like, okay, like that's kind of neat. And then and they have this moment where like the 4 Warriors of Light enter his castle, and you don't see them what they look like, because they're like what Final Fantasy 1 characters like would have looked like if they were like,
they didn't want to design
but like they walk through and you see their silhouettes and stuff, and there's like a mage and a warrior and all that stuff, and it's cool, and it's like, you know what, fuck you, I would play a remake of the first game right now.
Yep.
Like you know what,
man, that's
like,
so funny,
right? And one of the coolest things was then after the fact, going on the Wikipedia page, and the entire plot of Final Fantasy Origin Stranger of Paradise is a reverse of the plot of the first game, where the Warriors of Light fight the 4 fiends and retrieve their crystals, which is like you are setting up that whole game,
right,
for like the entire plot, only to find out via this game that the villain you were fighting was actually, in a roundabout way, a hero without you realizing. Because like the plot of Final Fantasy 1 is pretty, like, oh, he's a villain.
Very early NES game, right? It's pretty threadbare.
But the plot of Final Fantasy 1 is a time loop plot.
Oh, you're kidding me.
And so this whole thing is one giant loop that doesn't begin and end with Final Fantasy 1, begins and ends with Stranger of Paradise, and ends in Final Fantasy 1, and goes all the way around that way. They've added another little chain.
Like half.
Yeah. Which is so cool.
Yeah, that is cool. It's cool as well because it's Team Ninja who did that. Like, I wonder if Square came up with that, or if they did.
So, Kerry, let me tell you, the creative director, writer, and concept is one Tetsuya Nomura.
Fuck! I knew it.
Yeah, you knew that.
I knew it before you said it.
Yeah, you know that. So, you know, props to him. He's done it again. But also, what I really hope this is, because he's not director. I don't think he's not gameplay director on the game, because Team Ninja made it. Like, he would have been there to design. Like, he conceptualized the game. And then I'm not sure, at some point either Team Ninja approached him or he approached Team Ninja. But like, I hope that this is him saying, I actually want to also remake the first Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. That would be so sick. It really
would be. It would be.
How fun would that be?
That. Very fun, Jeremy.
And then My Way played over the
funny,
credits.
Like, Final Fantasy 1 doesn't even have summons, you know? Like,
it is so early.
There's this... Yeah, but they could probably remake that whole game and fill it out without needing to make a trilogy. So
yeah, it could literally be the replacement bookend for the first game with Stranger of Paradise.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be wild,
right?
Would you play if it was more traditional JRPG remake though, and less action, like not Final Fantasy VII action?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd finish it, but I'd certainly give it a shot. Yeah, it was...
Well, I guess we know what comes after Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Well, Rebirth is not being directed by Nomura.
No, I know, but like...
But
in terms of like Final Fantasy games, you know.
I think... Well, yes, but I hope so. I don't know.
That would be fun.
I feel like Nomura would want to conceptualize it, considering he did all of this.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it seems like half the work's done.
But I also feel like he might be too busy because he's the
he's doing Kingdom Hearts too, isn't he?
well, yeah, he's the director of Final Fantasy VII Remake as a whole. He's in charge of that project.
He's like overseeing it now though. Like Rebirth isn't as much of his work as the first one was.
But I also think he's directing Kingdom Hearts 4. I think he's directly directing that game.
Yeah.
You know what though? Fucking, you gotta hand it to him.
Yeah.
He knows how to make a thing that is capital C cool.
You know what he knows? He knows the power of canon. And he weaponizes the canon.
Yes, yeah.
He knows how to use it.
Yeah, he does.
And twist you with it.
But in a way that doesn't feel fucked.
Yeah. Like it's like fun.
Yeah. Anyway, that game is cool. And like that game got really fun towards the end. Like it is so cheesy and corny, and there were so many hilarious moments. Like there was this moment where you meet one of the fiends and it starts to talk, and Jack literally just jumps at it with his fist pointing directly out, saying, "I don't give a fuck who you are." Like says those words directly out loud to you and everybody else, I guess. And there are so many times where like one of your party members, Jed, is like, "Hey, like I just remembered this thing." And Jack will literally interrupt him to say, like, "We're moving on," but in a way that is so fucking funny. And there was this moment where, like, Princess Sarah, though, like the princess of the castle, she's like, "No, like the castle's being attacked by monsters," and she's like, "No, I'm gonna stay here. You know, like I'm gonna go down with. I must be here with my people when my castle falls." And her little like sidekick goes like, "Yes, me too." And Jack walks directly up to her, punches her in the gut, knocks her out, and puts her in a guard and says, "Get her out of here now."
Oh, what the fuck? That's intense.
Like, I burst out laughing. It was so fucking out of nowhere. Because, like, they're, like, in love. And it's not even, like, it's, like, the equivalent of just, like, nutting her in the face and then just, like, you know, like full on just like,
and then like laying her down gently.
But it's also like it's half off camera. Hang on, I've got a recording of it. This is not going to play nearly as well for the audio listeners, but I need you to go on YouTube right now and just bring up this fucking video because holy hell, it is so funny. Because the punch itself is like half like off camera.
That's so strange.
Give me like half a second just to find it here.
I don't particularly like the overtones of that. You know what I mean? Of like,
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it is comical is the thing that really threw me. Yeah, here we go.
Fate, then so be it.
All right, Jack, what are you gonna do? Oh my god!
Waker once you're this is Waker once you're outside the city castle, like or whatever.
That is awful.
It's so out of nowhere.
I don't like that at all.
Anyway,
what a strange character to create.
Yeah. He kind of grows on you by the end, like
just through sheer force of will.
Yeah,
through sheer exposure.
Yeah. Anyway, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. It's like a solid 6.5 out of 10. It's weird. They don't make games like this anymore.
I wonder why.
It's so weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's why I didn't gravitate towards it when I first played it.
And it's ugly as fucking sin.
Yeah.
It never looks good.
It looks like a mid-generation last-gen game.
And there's like a lot of loading screens and yeah, it's a weird fucking game.
Yeah, apparently it's still just ugly on PC.
Yeah, no, like I'm running it on Series X. Like there's no reason for it to like not look the best version of that game. It's just I don't know what portal that game came out of, but it's fucking weird.
Oh, Nomura's busted brain.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, Jeremy, how you feel? Do you still want to talk about Norco as well?
Yeah. Okay. Flip side. Okay. Norco is a stunning, gorgeous adventure point and click game. I'm not going to spoil this game.
Good.
Yeah. People should play Norco. Norco is on my game of the year contention. I don't think it'll hit. I don't think it'll hit there. I'm just going to read the synopsis of what the game is because it does a pretty good job, which is Norco is
currently 30% off on Steam.
Also on Game Pass.
And it's got a demo.
Norco is a sci-fi gothic adventure that immerses the player in the sinking suburbs and verdant industrial swamps of Louisiana's petrochemical hinterlands.
Oh, wow.
Your brother Blake has gone missing in the aftermath of your mother's death. In the hopes of finding him, you must follow a fugitive security cyborg through the refineries, strip malls, and drainage ditches of suburban New Orleans.
Right. Okay.
So it is a alternate future, but it's not really that far in the future. Everyone's still driving, crappy pickup trucks, and there's, just dive bars where there's nothing to really do. It's not like a future where there's like flying cars or anything. Like you are on the road. But there are robots that are like cyborgs that have sentience. There is technology which can allow you to capture memories. And there is talk of off-world, in the ethereal Blade Runner off-world-esque, the thing that exists in this world, but you never see it because that's not where the story is set.
Recent reviews overwhelmingly positive on Steam.
Yeah, it is a really, really good game. I'm gonna read some excerpts of some of the text in this game. A lot of what I'm reading, while some of it is towards the end of the game, does not give any clues or understanding to what is going on.
Right, it's more of an example of the quality of writing.
Yes, and also
like a Disco Elysium kind of thing.
Yeah, and the kind of the amount of like how evocative the game actually is. Because while it's a point and click game, it is like a you would call it a pixel art style. It is fairly lo-fi in that regard, but not like a Final Fantasy, but more like an early Final Fantasy, but more in terms of
like Papers, Please.
Like more than that. Like I would say, like in between Papers, Please and like Owlboy, like sort of like in between those two. There is a lot of. Did you ever play Kentucky Route Zero?
I watched Byron play a bit of it.
Right. There's a lot of abstract art that goes along through this game. It's not always direct. The art that is happening in front of even in a point and click game. But a lot of what is shown to you is largely interpretation of what is actually happening.
Yeah.
But it's only in some regards. It's kind of hard to explain. Like some of it is definitely very literal. Like yeah, you were standing in a bar with a bunch of dudes. But like sometimes it is like you are you are cutscene above the sky, giant view of Norco, and things are getting overlaid on top of it. Anyway. So imagine you are looking at a giant robot that is sort of been used for scrap and is basically used as a crane bot, but there's like a sentient robot that is basically with a giant crane on the back that is sort of used to lift things. You shout towards the machine to get its attention, but it remains unresponsive. And I'm gonna also replace characters' names just so you don't know who is where. Your robot companion emits a high-frequency whine. Silence follows. A voice swells from the sky as the mover begins to speak. Mover, you will dive into the water and the depths will become the surface. The breeze will change the shape of the flame and the flame will be as boundless as the territories that it lights. You will find in the water not only flames but whole hurricanes. There will be patterns of light that will form the shape of the old bayous where those who were killed for freedom still hide.
Whoa.
Right, we're just like, oh, like that's fucking like it's like it is so clear the direction that they are trying to like put you in. Like they are putting you in places and allowing your brain to sort of fill in those gaps. Like there is no like I don't know the literal meaning of those who killed for freedom still hide, but there is a lot of things that you could fill in those gaps with. There was another one here which was this was more of a cutscene of further out, sort of describing Norco as a city. Beneath you, if you stare with patience, you can see the curves of the Mississippi River. You can see the ponds and canals and lakes of the Gulf of Mexico. The refineries are light in your eye and in your lungs. The suburbs are alive tonight. The suburbs are alive. The city can't be described tonight. The city can't be described. The coastline opens wide tonight and the bayous hide. Your house is silent tonight. You'll leave it behind tonight. You slip from the endless evenings and return to a delirious dream. In some moments, the hunter is at the front of my mind, dragging me into a place where the ground glows red, and hatred bleeds from it, and I can hardly arrest my limbs for all the infinite spiraling vectors of rage. That is what it can be like in an artificial mind. She lifts her hand from the floodwaters and pokes at her processing core suspended in a delicate gossamer. It glows with effort beyond her shattered faceplate.
Oh my god. Wow.
That's fucking cool as hell.
So cool.
It's so striking.
It does remind me of Disco Elysium, and I've had a problem with that game recently where I think there's a time to play Disco Elysium, and I think I'm not awake enough to play Disco Elysium. You know what I mean? Like I have to be able to concentrate and like absorb.
Yeah, like Disco Elysium is dense. And it is like, while it's fucking hilarious sometimes, even in its humor, it is quite heavy. Because honestly, of the detective that you play and Kim Katsuragi, like they're good characters to view the lens of, but like one of the main characters in Disco Elysium is just the city of Revachol. And the city of Revachol is so full of history and life and character that it is just the conversation you are having with the city is constant and can just be a lot to take in at any given moment. I will say Norco is lighter in that regard. It is more about like the city of Norco is a character like the city of Revachol is, but it is largely the setting. They give you history and backdrops and stuff, but the characters, there are fewer of them, and they have a more distinct purpose to the story. Like Norco is a 8 to 10 hour game, I think. It is not nearly as long as Disco Elysium. You get you do one playthrough and you get 95% of the story, and that is only because there was a couple of little things that you might have missed. There are no side quests in Norco. It is completely linear, and you can do a couple of things in any order you want, but you'll still do all of them really.
Okay, I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, like any of the side stuff that you missed, it's like you can just go back to any point in the game at any moment and do that thing. Yeah, the game is separated into 3 chapters, but you can there are sub points in the game you can jump back to if you want. Because the game knows what you'll need in any given moment, it can set that up for you. It is completely linear. It's also worth mentioning this game is also very funny. This game has got some really good humor. There's a moment I was speaking to someone on the street, and you're like, what are you doing here? And he goes, for work, I guess. You go, what kind of work? And he goes, spiritual work, kind of like yoga, or no, more like outer space stuff, rockets. We're into self-improvement, weightlifting, stuff like that.
What? What?
And the 3 responses are, sounds cool as shit, sounds like a cult, or sounds cool as shit, like a cult. The game is it is quite funny in plenty of moments. There's a lot of really good character archetypes that play into those spaces really well and play off, what does it mean to be like some deadbeat investigator? What does it mean to be to be a leader of a cult, to be just someone who it just lives in the swamp, all that stuff, right? Like there's like a lot of fun characters, and they've all got really great style and feeling to them. Like it's really cool. And one of the best things is that you've got this mind map, right? This mind map that gets automatically populated as you go with the information that you need to know about the characters, that gets updated as you learn information about these characters, so that if you ever don't remember,
Sounds familiar.
it does sound familiar, except it's about people. It's not about locations like it is in Outer Wilds. But what it is great is that when you the structure of the game is sort of two stories happening at different moments from two people's perspective. It will allow you to remember who the people were that you might not have seen for a while. And so I'm like, oh, who the fuck is Blue? Who the fuck is Million? Like, it's this person. And then you go in there, and the way it works is you click on a person and it says like, oh, Blue is, and then it gives you like a couple of options. And sometimes you choose that option.
Oh.
So it's like, it's you're remembering. And it's like, oh, who was Blue to me? And then you can choose who you think Blue was to you. And it's just about your perception of that person more than anything. While also giving you who they were to the world. It's fascinating. It's really good.
That is strange. I don't think I vibe with that too much. I think I would rather be told.
No, but like
the character's connections to another character.
Oh no. So the character's connection to other characters are static. It's only about that character's connection to you.
That's what I'm saying. I would rather if my character has history that I'm not privy to, I'd rather be told what it is.
But you're deciding at that moment what that history is.
Yeah, that doesn't strike me as fine. Not to say that I think it's bad. It's just I just hear that I'm like, I don't think that's for me. Right. I don't think I would appreciate it that much.
Right. Okay. For me, it made it feel like, oh, like It filled in the gaps that because you don't get a whole lot of backstory about yourself, and so that allowed you to make your own backstory to then fit into this world, because there's only like a handful of options. I think there's like 2 or 3. Yep. So it allowed you to role play, like the main character's name is Kay. You role play your version of Kay in the story, whereas the story still caters to that. Which was really fascinating. A really cool way to bring you into a story while allowing the story to still happen to you.
Okay, fair enough.
It's cool as hell.
It sounds cool.
Good music too. Fun art.
Great.
Funny moments. Like it's a really fucking solid game.
This is one I could see if June were here, I think they would be installing it as we speak.
Yeah, but it's a point and click adventure game. I don't think they like those.
Yeah, maybe. I played a lot of Disco Elysium.
Yeah, but everyone played a little bit of Disco Elysium.
June got further into that game than either of us, right?
Not me now, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Oh dear, game of the year. I don't know if I'm ready for it, Jeremy. I got as far as reinstalling Horizon this week, and then I didn't get to touch it.
Yeah, right.
I can briefly talk to what I've been playing the last week or so, but only briefly, unfortunately. But anyone who was looking at the main page of IGN will see what I was working on for the past week, which was a video for Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Wrap your head around that title, which is it's the remake of the 2007 PSP game called Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, which is a prequel to Final Fantasy VII from 1997. This is the remake on every console, on every modern console. Yeah. It's coming out. It's not called that though. It's not called remake. It's called Reunion, and it's from what I've heard, a lot of people have said in terms of their impressions, they've been saying that it doesn't, in the way that Final Fantasy VII Remake starts playing with the story and your expectations and what you think would happen, this apparently doesn't do that. This is it is a 1-for-1 retelling of what you got on the PSP.
Yep.
Which is fascinating because
they've already changed what that is in the
some
original
characters
game.
do and do not live at the end of that game, and those characters who do or do not live are the opposite of what they should be at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
I think it's fair to say that this game is not going to be canon to the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I guess not, but it is a modern way to tell the expanded story of what happens. Because the events of this, they're a prequel to the events of the main game, but they are very important to the events of the main game. Yeah. Even the original 97 release, they're very important. So yeah, it's been fascinating to play. I made a video that's called "What is the DMW?" And it's basically a video that describes what the hell is up with the slot machine combat mechanic. Did you know, Jeremy, that this game has a non-optional slot machine at all times during combat?
Yeah.
It's really, really strange.
Yeah.
It's called the Digital Mind Wave, which I don't really explain what that means, but it's like it's meant to be like a representation of you play as Zack, and it's meant to be a representation of like Zack's thoughts during combat. And so it's constantly scrolling through numbers and scrolling through faces, and all the faces are of like Zack's acquaintances. And it's like he'll like have a memory of talking to his mentor Angeal or talking to Sephiroth. And then he can use like a Sephiroth ability for a second. It does a high damage. It's so bizarre. It's so strange. It's also so harmless. Like, it only gives you benefits and it just sits there doing its thing over and over. It's really quite fascinating to just play a game and then just get like, all of your spells are free for 20 seconds. It's like, okay, great. Fire spells everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you could use all your combat abilities for free for 90 seconds. Or you could just become invincible rarely. Or it's also how you level up. Like, you have to roll 777s or 777s to level Zack up and your materia. It's just entirely based on rolls.
Yeah, right.
It's really strange.
That is very, very weird.
Yeah, it is. This game's been quite funny to play because it has it's a lot. It turns out a lot of the original game, which I didn't know until I listened to reviews. It turns out a lot of the original game was hardly voice acted. Just the few like FMV cutscenes,
right,
were voice acted.
There's not a whole lot of space on a UMD.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But this whole game is now fully voice acted, and a lot of them with the voice actors for the remake trilogy now.
1.8 gig on a UMD.
1.8. I can see that. It's a pretty low resolution game.
Less than this iPod next to me. That's
true. Just barely, though.
Just barely. Actually,
stick that in your PSP.
Maybe pretty close.
Yeah. But it's interesting because they haven't rewritten any of the lines. And so all of the lines are this like just this English text only localization kind of stuff. And it's so hammy. It's so schlocky. It's so core JRPG. It's really fascinating. I'm really close to the end of the game. I'm excited to finish it. But yeah, it's I don't know how high it's going to end up on my list. Something I also thought was fascinating is that you've got your main missions and they're like an hour long each, and you've got your side mission content that you could do at any save point in the world, and those are like 3 to 8 minutes each. A lot of them at like a sweet 5 minutes each or less, and apparently there's dozens and dozens of them. Like, you just keep unlocking more and more of them, and they're the PSP portable kind of content they made for the game, right? They're like, oh, you're on a train, you got 10 minutes, do this thing, you can pause it and turn it off and know exactly what you were doing beforehand.
Yeah.
And there's so many of those. So many of those. But I got into it to the point, and I was into the game enough where I was like, oh, I wish I could bring this with me on my holiday this weekend. It's just a couple of days. I was like, oh, I wish I had it on my Switch or some sort of portable PlayStation system to bring with me while I was away, because the game's designed that way. And when I was enjoying it, I was like, I want to engage with it on that way, but I've got it on my bloody PS5, the biggest console I've ever had in my life.
Have you considered getting a Valve Steam Deck?
Have I considered? Sure. I saw a link for that for someone to buy in Australia. it's like you buy it from Tokyo or something, and it's
Yeah.
$1,600.
Yeah.
So much money.
Tax return, maybe.
$1,600 for a portable system.
Oh, but
I
what
don't know.
it's a portable PC, and that's a good one of that.
I know, but like, it can't run brand new games above 40 frames per second, you know?
It depends on the brand new game. I don't need to play,
Sure, it'll play Norco 2 at 40 frames per second, but
it'll play it at more than 40 frames per second. It could probably
esports Pro 144 hertz.
Think about anyway. We're going off topic.
So that's about as much as I could say on the matter. Next week we'll be doing our game of the year. I don't know where this is going to land and if I'll expand upon it more next week or not. I honestly don't know.
I have no idea what your game of the year looks like.
Jeremy, neither do I. Neither do I, Jeremy.
I've got like a really good idea of what mine looks like, but like,
yeah, you've been working on it.
Yeah.
You've been working on it, but I think you've got a bit more breadth of games played this year too than I have, which is true of most years.
Yes.
But it's funny because like you played and finished Horizon, I played and finished Elden Ring. We both finished God of War. There's so much indie stuff. Part of my problem is, like I was saying before, when we talk about Spotify, a lot of what I played this year was Persona 5.
Yeah, like a lot of mine is like, it's just like a lot of like I played almost every game I wanted to play this year.
That's so cool.
There's 2 games that I want to play which I did not get a chance to play this year. One of those is
Vampire Survivors on your phone and Vampire Survivors on your Steam Deck.
No, one of them is fucking Sonic. And like the only reason I didn't play it is because I knew it wasn't going to be in my game of the year. I'm like, it can wait.
Yeah, because he did play it at PAX.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, maybe look forward to us talking about that next week or not. Not sure. But we will be talking about our individual game of the years next year. Who knows what that'll look like? Well, Jeremy knows what his half will look like, but maybe I won't even do any prep, Jeremy. Maybe I'll just. No, you're right. I won't do that. You're right. Sorry, I won't concern you. I'll prepare. I'll write some stuff down. I'll use my brain. All right, fine. If next week, if you want to hear what we have to say about what we thought about all of the games that came out this year and all the games we played, I recommend finding the MiniMapCast next week on any podcast platform of your choice, or Twitch live Monday afternoons, or YouTube. You could find us in all of those places when we record the podcast and when we release the podcast. That's Twitch, Twitter. You can find out as well on TikTok and Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. You can find us in all of those places. I'm going a little off script.
Yeah, there's a whole script for you. You don't have to struggle. You can just look at the script.
Yeah, I know. All of those places you can find us at MiniMapAU. Next week will be our Game of the Year discussion. I think it'll be a good one. Jeremy, we're taking a small hiatus after that point for 2 to 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I doubt we'll... Yeah, I'm not sure when in January, if in January. If in January we release an episode, it'll be in the last week.
So more like 4 or 5 weeks.
Like basically January. Oh, wait. Well, yeah, like Christmas and New Year's, it ain't going to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah, look, I don't know. We might take an extended break just to recharge a little bit, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay, but probably in January.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably by the end of January.
Yes. Yeah.
You got one more week with us, and then we've got a hefty back catalog. Apparently, our listeners on Spotify are time travelers, so you're welcome to go back through our previous list of games and check those out, of episodes rather. So yeah, if you wanted to follow us individually too on the socials, on Twitter, I am at KJPalmer_24. Jeremy, where are you on Twitter?
At Obi-Wan
You can also head to minimap.com.au to find everything we've ever done for the website ever. For those of you who are here with us live in Twitch chat, stick around. We're about to do the post show. We're about to talk a bit more about how we're going to structure next week's episode. For those of you listening on a podcast service or on YouTube, please give us those positive ratings if you've got the time. It would be oh so helpful and do a lot to help the show. We would appreciate that very much. And lastly, if you wanted to support us another way, you can support us on Patreon to help keep the lights and mics on. You can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/minimapau. And for $5 you can ask us questions to answer on the podcast or while helping us out greatly. Thank you so much for listening this week, everybody. It was a long one, but I think it was a good one. And we'll be here next week with the definitive list of the game of the year for 2022. I hope you look forward to it. I am looking forward to it. We'll see you next week.
Goldie.